This is from a long time ago, Ryan. You and I went on the smallest tour we ever went on in 2013. We called it the Alberta Mini Tour.
Right.
It was June of 2013, and I believe Colin Wright went with us. We lived in Montana at the time. We drove up from Missoula and went to Calgary and Edmonton. And this essay came from that experience, one of our tour stops up there at a Chapters bookstore in Calgary. A few years back, during our first tour of the Maple Leaf North, we stood amid alphabetical rows of endless bookshelves, basking in a Calgary bookstore's fluorescent glow, answering questions at the end of our talk in front of a few hundred smiling Canadians. And then a heckler. It happens in almost every city. Someone projects their fears, expectations, and insecurities onto us. You guys aren't real minimalists because you drive a car, you own a smartphone, you sell books, you whatever. It happens so frequently that we're now inoculated to the criticism. Whenever you do something meaningful, people will judge you. So what? Let them. Judgment is but a mirror that reflects the insecurities of the person who's doing the judging. But this time, in this Albertan bookshop, it was different. Toward the back of the crowd, a man in his mid-40s raised his hand and, in an aggressive tone, said, "I don't have a question. I have a comment." The crowd hushed, waited. "I had to get rid of my bed because of you two," the heckler said. "Excuse me?" Ryan said. "Because of this whole minimalism thing, my wife and I had to get rid of our bed," he said, louder this time, furrowing his brow and gesturing toward the woman at his right. "Why?" I asked. "We've never told anyone to get rid of their own bed. I own a bed. Ryan owns a bed. I wouldn't." "I don't think you understand me," he interrupted, his arms gesticulating wildly, a manic look on his features. "My wife found your website earlier this year, and we had to get rid of our bed." "But why would you?" "Our marriage was ending," he cut in again. "After 2 decades, we had become roommates, not a married couple. We were staying together just for the kids." The entire crowd was rubbernecking now, staring at the couple. "Then my wife found your website, and she started simplifying without telling me. She was letting go of everything that didn't add value to our lives." "Uh-oh," Ryan muttered. "That's right. She found your 20/20 rule and then your 90/90 rule. She was even playing the minimalism game with her friends." I pondered aloud. In just a few months, I noticed something was different. Our house was cleaner, tidier, less cluttered, but more important, something was different with my wife. She seemed happier, calmer, less stressed. And she was being nicer to me, which forced me to notice how, not nice I was being to her. And to our kids. And to everyone in my life. But then I realized I could be nice too. My wife had changed, so that meant I could change too. It was my decision. We both nodded and continued listening. Maybe this wasn't a heckler after all. "For the first time in years," he said, "with much of our excess junk out of the way, my wife and I started talking again. We were actually communicating with each other. We started having discussions we hadn't had in years, dreams, goals, priorities. Everything was on the table." A huge smile broke across the man's glowing face. Then something amazing happened. We started having sex again. Lots of sex. Crazy sex. Great sex. So much sex that our teenage kids complained that our bed was too loud. He clapped his hands to mimic their headboard, banging against the wall. Bang, 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 bang. Laughter overcame the crowd. So we got rid of our bed too. And with less stuff, we found the couple who had been buried underneath decades of clutter. That essay's called Less Stuff, more sex.
He baited us so good.
Dang.
That was he intentionally baited us. He did a really good job of it too.
What a brilliant man to take that risk, because at any point you guys could have felt like this was getting out of control and just like cut him off and ended the moment. I mean, that does happen though.
It could.
Yeah. And so for him to take that chance,
that's true.
Just to be able to get that dramatic effect. Ooh, that's a good story.
I don't think I'd ever cut someone, unless they were being belligerent or something. I don't think I would cut someone off though.
Well, I remember in Boston recently, someone was pretty drunk and it was like, Lisa Lampanelli was there and we were finally like, all right, lady, you have to like.
Right. There's a question mark at the end of this, right?
Yeah. And I will do that quite often in our live events, making sure that their statement is appended with some sort of question, because otherwise it's kind of rude to the other people who are there to experience the event, right?
Yeah.
We're not there for that person. We're there for the whole audience.
Yeah. But TK, you're right, man. Like he didn't know that we wouldn't cut him off. I mean, that was a pretty big risk. And he did. He baited us so good. My heart's starting to pump. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm going to have to address this criticism. Yeah, no, it was great.
The moral of the story is there are unexpected benefits of simplifying. Yes, they had less clutter in their lives, but their marriage was essentially over. And now they were having so much sex that their kids were complaining. And the funny thing is about this, I remember we moved into our new house, and Bex and I have a lot of sex. Bex rhymes with sex.
Oh my God! You guys have
your pickup line?
No, yeah. we met it.
You're just now realizing this?
No, sexy Bexy. She doesn't like when I call her that, but I do all the time. We talk about that on her podcast, How to Love. And one thing that we noticed when we first moved into our new house is we placed Ella's bedroom next to ours. And I was like, this can't. And I thought of this essay that I wrote from back in 2013. I said, oh, no. Like, we're loud. And so like we had 2 bedrooms. Ella's bedroom needs to go as far away as possible. And so we just moved her to the other side. And now we have an office and a bathroom, 2 bathrooms in between us at this point. And it's just provided enough sound dampening that we can still have fun in the bedroom. And we got to keep our bed. So how great is that? Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.